I'll put myself now on the screen with all my fancy things. Boom. What's going on, guys? That's hilarious. They said you should maybe give yourself more time, and so we'll get you a countdown so that you're not just sitting there looking crazy. And I still couldn't manage to get the show going. So it's the Erskin Music Show. You guys know that it's actually me because I'm still goofing up my own show. So excited that there's a couple of you guys that are joined in this morning. Good morning to everyone out there. It's going to be a great day today. This is the Thursday edition, and so you're going to get a bunch of silliness from me. I got my Love Natoma shirt on here today. Man, we need to be talking about love, but I know my folks out in Sacramento, they are doing it big and they are doing it right, and they are loving their city. And that's what I want to see you do out there, whichever city you're in. If you're in Knoxville, love your city. If you're in Nashville, love your city. If you're in Charlotte, love your city. All those cities that are having rioting, things that are going on right now, and unpeaceful protests and demonstrations, I want you to love your city. I think it's pretty hypocritical. I can't even say the word anymore. It's hypocritical of many Christians who are sitting back, uninvolved in the process, who are criticizing, rioting, looting, all these things, deleterious people who are out in society and culture, tearing up things. And you haven't ever gone out in your city and done one day of evangelism. You've never done one day of a service project. Yes, it's the Erskin Music Show. Even though I can't start my show, I will certainly be able to finish this one. I'm excited today because I am going to be having myself as a special guest. Awesome. No, it is the Erskin Music Show, but I'm going to be playing live here, the song Black and White. So wait for it. It's coming to you, coming fresh to your ears. And today we're going to talk about a couple of things that I think strike the tone of what we need to be getting to these days. I'm going to be giving some jokes. All right. So I was going to title this Jokes That Are Way Too Soon for the Heaviness of what it is that we're dealing with. I believe that in Minneapolis, there's going to be some memorials that are set up today and some things that promote healing. And so the reason why I say these jokes are way too soon is I'm not going to in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Let me let you guys hear me say this. I am not lessening that to any degree. If I could be there today, I certainly would be there. I think that's very important. I think that's a very important step of healing, a very important step of just coming to some kind of resolution in our nation. I think the president, in fact, should be at that memorial service in Minneapolis today. I don't know what his schedule is today, but I can guarantee you with his nation, our nation falling apart, there's probably not too many other things that he has scheduled that are a little bit more important than that. So I'm not the president. He can do what he needs to do. He's got his schedule today, but I would certainly be there. But today is going to be all about things that are way too soon and way too silly for the heavy nature of what it is that we're experiencing in our country and in our world today. But before we begin that, let me begin with a verse of scripture. Bam! Up there on the screen. Maybe this bam. Okay. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. That's found in John chapter 14, verse 6. And we want to keep that foremost. Daniel, thanks for tuning in this morning. I wanted to kind of talk through a couple of things here because I've got some time, just a few minutes today, to deal with what is going on in our world, and I wanted to do it a little different way. Analogy that I wanted to give is, do you remember when you were a teenager? Well, I know there's some young people who watch this show and you're not teenagers yet, or some of you guys actually are teenagers. And do you know what it feels like when your parents say, I'm not listening to you? Or they show you that they're not listening, and you're like, Mom, Dad, I've got a concern. I really want to do this. And your parents say, I'm not listening to you. Or they show you, I'm not listening to you. Or they ignore you. What does that begin to do? It begins to just foster this sense of anxiousness within you. I remember my teenage years, or at various times when I would try to tell my parents something and I'm like, they're not listening to me. Try to tell my parents something, my grandparents something, it's like they don't understand what it is that I'm trying to say. And it would just be so stinking frustrating. I remember some of my biggest fights and arguments with my grandparents were over those times when I didn't think they were listening. America, for those of you who say, I don't understand what's going on in our country. We used to be peaceful and now everything is blowing up. I don't understand. For those of you who have that perspective out there, let me help you understand what's going on here. You were a teenager at some point, or you are a teenager, and you recognize when people ignore you and ignore you and ignore you and ignore you, the things don't just get better. When you just tamp it down and just press it down and just keep it suppressed and then never deal with it and then find ways to just dodge and duck. And, I can guarantee you there's a bunch of Christian leaders who are out there these days. They're just waiting waiting for there to be something else for the news to latch on to or for our country to latch on because they do not want to deal with this issue in the church. They do not want to begin talking to their people because this means massive changes need to take place within the context of the church. And so they're not never dealing with that. So, anyway, what I wanted to say this morning is what is happening in America is the residual of years, decades of people saying there's an issue, there's a problem, and people going, nah. There's an issue, there's a problem that needs to be dealt with, and it's not just police brutality. If you're out there and you're thinking that the issue is just police brutality, there's a whole bunch of issues have come to the surface as a result of what's going on here, and it's not because of police brutality. It's because the issue of hatred, the issue of injustice that just has kept swirling around literally through the morning. Did I need to move slower? Because it seems like every time I move, it like. So anyway, back to what I was saying. For years, we have just suppressed the problem and having to deal with the problem. I've made the statement before to many people, even my own church leaders, that the institutional church in America has been one of the most racist institutions in the history of our country. And the church so often ducks and dodges the issue. We look at racial reconciliation like that was just some kind of subject that Black people made up. Why are they always complaining about racial reconciliation? I thought we did that. We let them come into our church. We let them go to school now. And so this issue is a hot potato that has not been dealt with. And now it's as though the culture and the society and people who are disenfranchised have said, you know what? You're going to have to deal with this problem now. No ducking, no dodging, no trying to ignore it, no trying to get on to another thing. Nope, it's coming. It's all up in your face now. So just remember this teenage analogy. It'll help you out. When you were a teenager, people who ignored you, people who didn't listen to you, that frustrated you so much. And America has reached that boiling point of just saying, we're not going to be ignored. Not disable my phone and the ability for people to call me. And so there's people who are calling me while the show is going on. That's why. Dun, 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 that's why this show is going down. But literally, there's people who are calling me from nursing homes all over America because I did not disable my phone. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, let me get on to what it is that I'm going to talk about today. My kids watched the movie Napoleon Dynamite. You can judge me as a bad parent if you want to. I disciple my kids. We're doing the English Puritans right now. We've done a lot of different things biblically and theologically. Actually, my kids, congratulations to them. It's their first day of summer. They finished school yesterday, and today is the first day. School's out for the summer. Actually, they get a week off. But they finished my theology class, and it was great. They did a fantastic job. I think they made low A's or a B in my theology class. And for those of you who know, I have a master's degree and a concentration in systematic theology. And so I don't play when it comes to theology. They did a great job for junior hires that are taking a theology class, a systematic theology class for the first time. I thought they handled the material well. They handled the catechisms well. Yesterday they had to navigate and do some different things related to the Westminster Catechism, and they did a fantastic job of that. So I say all that just simply to say that with everything that's been going on in the world and everything that's been going on in the news these days, we had to take a slightly different approach, and we had to have some time where it's just not serious. And so I thought, what's the most unserious thing that we could possibly do right now? And all of the reports that came back in, and at least my mind told me, let's watch Napoleon Dynamite. If there's anything serious that you get from that movie, shame on you. That is just purely ridiculousness that is happening over the course of an hour and a half of your life. It is low budget. The acting is suspect. The screenwriting is suspect. but it is so funny. For those of you who have seen Napoleon Dynamite, if you've never seen Napoleon Dynamite, I do not recommend you go out and see it today. This is not going to radically change your life. But for us, it was that breath of fresh air. We just needed to breathe for a second. Everything was so heavy. Kids were so impacted by what's going on in our country that we could not get away from it except for that hour and a half respite that we had where they were just dying laughing at Napoleon Dynamite. Woo! So you're going to hear that a lot. We're watching Napoleon Dynamite, and there's a scene where Pedro is, and for those of you who have seen this before, you'll forgive me. There's the scene where Pedro is running for class president, and he's running against Summer, and she's the popular girl. She's the one that gets all the attention. Everybody likes her. Everyone thinks she's cool. She's handing out her flyers. Pedro has just cut all of his hair off, and hopefully this is not a spoiler for you, but Pedro's just cut all of his hair off, and so he's literally going around wearing a wig, and he decides that one of the things one of the things that he's going to do is he's going to get a piñata. Hey, Pedro is from Mexico. He's living in Idaho. He doesn't know the culture or the customs, and so he gets a piñata of the person that he's running against, this girl Summer. And he has people who are busting the piñata outside of class one day. They're hanging it on the tree, and it's the likeness of somebody that he's running against. It is completely inappropriate. It's completely insensitive. It is completely culturally unaware. And I thought about that in the context of what's going on in our culture these days. I am laughing, crazy laughing at the fact that there's some people who just don't get it. It is the cultural insensitivity of our moment. When you have people who are trying to duck and dodge the issue that's out there, they're trying to do any other thing, and it just you talk about, I have people talking about basket weaving and underwater polo and just anything so we can get our minds off of what it is that we need to be dealing with. Anything that we can do. I mean, it seems so culturally inappropriate. It's like that scene. Pedro gets pulled to the police officer, or to the principal's office, excuse me, and the principal is like, I don't know how it is in your country, but in our country we don't do this. And it's just that funny moment where you recognize these two cultures are colliding. He's like, I don't even understand what the problem is in our country. If we don't like somebody, we make a likeness of them. We busted them the piñata like it's a constructive release. That doesn't happen in America, except now it's happening in America. That's what's funny and not funny about this is that, I don't know, you might like President Trump. I didn't vote for President Trump. I'm not going to vote for President Trump in the next election. I'm sure as heck not going to vote for Joe Biden or any of his goons over there. But so I might be in the minority. I might be in a very difficult position, but I can't vote for President Trump. I don't know if you like President Trump or don't like President Trump, but there's a lot of this that's directed at President Trump. And yeah, so that gets a little bit interesting out there because the church, and I'm talking primarily on this show, if you're looking from Facebook Live or YouTube Live, I'm talking primarily to a lot of Christians who are out there. Man, we've become way too political and way too involved in the political process to the extent where obviously we need to pray for the president. I mean, pray for the president, whoever the president is. But part of this is exacerbated when somebody comes and says, and this is something that I've observed, we have a lot of prayer vigils and a lot of prayer support that is going out for President Trump in his times of difficulty and in times where it is that he seems like he is not handling things well or that people are coming against him. Where was all that prayer support for Barack Obama? Where did I get any comments? Oh, I know there's a 10-second delay. Where was all of this prayer support and we need to rally behind and we need to support and we need to pray for the wisdom of our president? I certainly do not agree with a large portion of the platform and the policies of President Barack Obama, but I prayed for him. I asked the Lord to give him wisdom. I spoke my disagreements about what it is that he's doing. I speak my disagreements about what President Trump is doing, but I also pray for President Trump and ask for wisdom, Mike Pence and the cabinet there. But when did we get ourselves to a place where it's unequal in the way that we approach the wisdom of praying for our president and praying for our leaders? You see, a lot of that hypocrisy has been blown out of the water. We've created this piñata now of President Trump and we're beating it. And there's some people who are saying that's not what we do in our country. Well, actually, it is what we do in our country. It's just we do it to people that we don't like. Ooh. That wasn't as funny. Let's go to the next one. People don't like Napoleon Dynamite. Not a lot of comments about that one. Breathe for just a second, people. You need to laugh a little bit more. You're taking this a little bit too seriously. So here's the deal. I am wanting to put out an ad for those of you, because this is a great day in America. I feel like I am so popular with so many people. In fact, I'm spending most of the day now on the telephone or corresponding with people. People are contacting me from all over the country, literally all over the world. People are getting in contact with me because I'm their token Black friend. Yes. And so I decided, because of that, I am going to put out an ad. I'm going to put out a special. I'm going to take the American capitalistic entrepreneurial dream to its furthest extent, and I'm going to extend to anyone that's out there in our Facebook audience or our YouTube audience, or if there's anybody that's joined us that's come over from TikTok, I will be your token Black friend. I'm very popular right now. People are getting in contact with me all of the. Normally, I run this service for $5.99. And you can get a picture of me, and then I can like Photoshop you in there, and like you can be my token. I can be your token Black friend. Normally that service is $5.99. Today there's a special. It is the Welcome to the Erskin Music Show special. I'm going to run that special for you guys today. Welcome to the Erskin Music Show special for $1.99. And my supply chain says that I have 20 slots that are still available. 20 slots. So for the first 20 people that get in contact with me, I'm going to give you the $1.99 rate. I will be your token Black friend, because a lot of people are needing a Black friend right now so that they can just. Oh, wait, that was funny. A lot of people are needing a Black friend right now so that they can make the argument, my best friend is Black. Oh, that makes everything okay. When people, and this is what's so funny about this, when people want to avoid an issue, one of the things that they will often do is they will say, well, I'm not the problem. It's obviously other people that are the problem, because I couldn't possibly have a problem with racism. I couldn't possibly have a problem. The person that you are talking to is a good person. Everybody else that's outside of me, I don't know about them and I can't speak for them, but obviously there's bad people out there, but I'm one of the good people, because you can almost say it with me. Say it with me, America and the world. My best friend is Black. My best friend is Black. So how could I possibly be racist? That's just nonsensical. I'm not racist because my best friend is Black. And so for those of you who need to be able to use the argument that your best friend is Black, right now for $1.99, I'm going to bring you guys in 20 slots available. Wait, there's some reports that are coming in. I think there's, okay, Big Head, Ruby, and Scooby, there's only 18 slots that are left. 18 slots that are left. And so if you're white out there in America and you need a Black friend so that you can tell your other friends, my best friend is Black, the supplies are going quickly. Ruby and Scooby, we're down to 17 now. 17 now at the $1.99 rate, and then we'll have to figure out if we exceed the 17 at the end of this show, we may have to go to the $5.99 rate, but I'll see how many slots are available. Big Head, can we do more? Okay, so Big Head and I are talking. We're going to try to do some more. So white people that are out there, if you need a Black friend so that you can tell your other friends that your best friend is Black, we're working on a supply chain here. And I might be able to even give you a text message every once in a while to verify to all your friends that we're actually friends. Okay, so you guys, reductio ad absurdum, you know what situation I'm dealing with there. That is the most creative, that is the most widely used dodge that people use to not have to examine their own heart. You know, the Bible gives us every tool, every rationale to be able to evaluate. It tells us in the book of Romans that all of us have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It tells us that there is no one righteous, not even one. And so we recognize that the seeds of sin are within our heart. Oftentimes we don't want to deal with it. That is very natural. When I say the church has been institutionally one of the most racist institutions in all of American history, I say that because the church actually is not an institution. It's an organism. It's a living organism. But sometimes the way that we organize it without the actual humanity of having to deal with our own hearts. You see, I would not say that racism is the biggest problem in the church. I would say self-righteousness is one of the biggest problems. I would probably say self-righteousness, division within the church. If it weren't just black people and white people, what I could easily be saying on this show is that the church so often hates people who are not like us. So we don't like those guys over there, and we don't like those guys over there, and these guys are not a part of our camp. And so it's very hard. I travel around to a lot of different Christian ministries. I do concerts, as you guys well know, and there are some associations that, I mean, they've just flat out told me, if you go to this particular church, other people won't come because they're in competition with that church. And that's one of the saddest things that I think that I've discovered over the past 7 years of touring around the United States of America is how many churches are actually in competition with one another. And so we're self-righteous, we're divisive, we're prideful, and we're apathetic. And so that's where our church lives. And that's a lot of heavy information. But the reason why I'm doing jokes today is because you guys all know that the avoidance technique of saying, well, my best friend is black, causes you not to have to evaluate your own heart in your own situation in life. Let me get to a couple of comments because I got some more jokes. There are some folks that are saying good morning. There are some folks that are laughing. Some people is maybe a little bit too soon. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay, let's laugh a little bit more. So I was thinking about the fact that I should put out another ad. You can tell me if this is a good idea. Facebook audience, YouTube audience, TikTok joiners. I was going to put out another ad that says, I don't like white people. It's my bait. I'm going to bait them in. All the people out there, some of them would be involved with hashtag Black Lives Matter. We'll have to have a whole show sometime about the issues that I have with Black Lives Matter. But they would see that link and they would immediately gravitate toward us like a moth to the flame. They would come to it and they would say, man, here's somebody that can be a part of our calls. He does not like white people. Let's get this guy as a part of our calls. I put a big ad up and I don't put my face on it. I don't put anything on it. I don't like white people in capital letters on there. It would be like a moth to the flame. Black Lives Matter, all these other groups would come to that ad. They would try to look me up. And then what I want to have on the end of the ad is I want to have a giant picture of my wife and kids. Do we have that picture? I think we do have that picture. Okay, where are we at? I don't even know how to work my own show. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, here we go. Bam! That's what's going to come up when they click on the ad. My wife and kids, my lovely wife and kids. Gotcha. I baited you in. There's a bunch of people out there who are hate mongers. I am not a hate monger. My wife is white. I don't hate white people. We live together in harmony. We're one. Man, those people out there that are trying to be divisive, you can see them, you can spot them like a moth to the flame. Their speech invariably becomes that they hate other people. Their speech invariably becomes that they don't want to participate and be involved with the lives of other people. Half my family is white. And I don't always agree with my in-laws. They probably don't always agree with me, but you know what? We're family. And so we work it out. We get together. And that's what I want to see you do out there. Next joke. This is getting a lot better. Hopefully, at some point, all of us are going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but see the thin veneer of truth that is running through today's broadcast. The reason why I'm making jokes is because we just need to breathe a little bit more these days. All right, so here's what we got going on now. I'm wearing, I don't know if we can see this. Can we get this in the camera? Oh, my feet. Oh, I should not be made to stretch like this. Can you guys see what I'm wearing today? Those are the classic edition Air Force One Nike shoes. I know there were some of you guys who were out there who were burning Nike shoes. Why was there such a big burning of Nike shoes? Why was there such a backlash? I think I saw the report on Fox News when this was happening. People, go out and burn your Nikes because that guy, that deleterious cultural upsetter, that and a bunch of other names that cannot be said on this show. It's still a family show, guys. Colin Kaepernick has been signed by Nike to be a spokesman and a representative for social injustices. And the last time I checked that, oh, where's the censor button? Guy Colin Kaepernick was the guy who kneeled on the field when they were playing the national anthem. That Colin Kaepernick is responsible for all of this because he got the other NFL players to start kneeling while the national anthem was going on. That Colin Kaepernick is responsible for people hating veterans and all these different things. And the sound of an argument falling on deaf ears at this point. America, I'll be the first person to say Colin Kaepernick is no role model of mine. Colin Kaepernick is no role model of my son who loves football. I don't agree with a lot of things that he did, but you know what he did do? He peacefully protested by silently taking a knee during the national anthem to tell America, not that we hate our veterans, not that we're upset about various people who have fought for this country and died for this country. He took a knee to say to America, America, we've got an issue that needs to be dealt with. It's interesting to me that now when there's riots and things that are going on in the streets and people are saying, we don't know how we got to this point, all that backlash, all that energy, as they like to say on First Take, one of my favorite sports shows, keep that energy, America. Keep that energy, all of that energy and that pent up frustration and all those things people were saying about Colin Kaepernick. Where's that energy now, people? To recognize the reason why we got here is because you wouldn't stand for, you wouldn't listen to. You made the issue about what the president was saying, and the president said some nasty things about Colin Kaepernick and NFL players who kneel peacefully. Well, how about you? I can guarantee about right now, you would love to have some peaceful protest. Washington, D.C., Mr. President. Hi, are we getting a call from the president? Secret Service? I can keep going? Okay, good. Ruby and Scooby, are we good? All right, so I'll keep going. Mr. President, I bet you would just enjoy and appreciate if the people in Washington, D.C., in Baltimore, in Detroit, in Tennessee, in virtually every other major city in America were peacefully taking a knee. You see how this got blown out of proportion? So you know what? Is it too soon, America? Is it too soon? Can I wear my Nikes again? Actually, I've been wearing my Nikes all along. I just felt like it was the height of counterproductivity to actually burn your shoes because, like, I don't make that much money. Touring Christian music artist, God has taken care of us all along the way, but I found it nonsensical to burn my Nikes. And plus, look at these things. Look at this. This is Air Force Ones, baby. You cannot get any more awesome than Air Force Ones. Come on. Hope America is laughing with me. If we would have dealt with it the first time, we wouldn't have to deal with it like this now. Oh, man. So there's some people who are saying good morning and a bunch of other things that are on there. I like it. I like it. I like it. Keep it coming. All right. Let's keep rolling. I got at least one more joke, and then we'll change the subject to something other than what we've been talking about. You see, this is one of the things that I think America needs. We need to laugh a little bit, but in the uncomfortableness of laughing, I think that it's important to kind of also deal with the issues. And so here's my last joke for the day. They have all been funny, I can say, to some extent. But here's my last joke of the day. My last joke of the day is, Mr. President, if you need my help on certain things, and I've said that various times on this show, anybody who needs my help up in Washington, I'll be happy to fly up there. I'm not afraid of COVID or anything. I'll take the proper precautions to get on an airplane, come all the way up to Washington, D.C. and help you guys out. If you guys are wanting to confuse the rioters, disorient the rioters, and maybe scatter the rioters and make them go home in confusion and silence, instead of putting tear gas on them so you can take pictures in front of a church, instead of clearing out the streets with such a show of force unnecessarily like you've just done, Mr. President, maybe you can get all of your National Guardsmen or your police detail to all put on Colin Kaepernick jerseys. And in unison, just line up across all the protesters wearing Colin Kaepernick jerseys. That's my contribution to you guys today. I'm going to give that to you for free. And you don't even have to fly me up to Washington. You don't even have to pay me for that. Mr. President, I'm going to work you in the less than $1.99. I can be your black friend, your best friend, and then you can tell all of America my best friend is black, and he gave me this suggestion for free. Colin Kaepernick jerseys for all of the police force. The writers would look at those jerseys and they would say, wait a minute, we're confused. Are they supporting? Oh, wait. They would be so disoriented by seeing a whole police force wearing Colin Kaepernick jerseys that they would be in stunned silence. They would be confused. They would look around at each other and be like, I don't know. Why are we protesting? Dudes, they're with Colin Kaepernick. They like Colin Kaepernick. Like, they're against police brutality. They're against a lot of things that Colin Kaepernick was bringing to their attention. Okay, they got the message. Let's go home, guys. And you automatically have confused and dispersed the crowds. That would be so awesome. There's no tear gas that's needed. There's no rubber bullets that's needed. CNN, all these other liberal news media outlets, they would be so confused. How did they just all of a sudden just disband this crowd? They went home quiet, confused, having conversations with one another, all because the president ordered everybody to wear Colin Kaepernick jerseys. That would be awesome. Oh man, the angle that gives us. You see, when we didn't want to listen to Colin Kaepernick, and I didn't agree with a lot of the ways that he did things, but we didn't want to listen to him the first time. I guess we're going to listen to the riots now. And so I am not for riots. I am not for all the different hateful things that are going on out there. Certainly police being killed is unacceptable. Businesses being destroyed oftentimes in these black neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods. That is the height of, counterproductivity, as my man Stephen A. Smith says. But, we got to bring an issue out, and that is the fact that we tried the peaceful way. We've tried for years the peaceful way. And normally what happens is people don't listen to peaceful people in our culture, in our society. We like a bombastic president because he just tells people, this is what it is. It's in your face. I'm going to do this. I'm going to drain the swamp. People listen to a voice like that. But we don't like to listen to peaceful people. So here's my challenge to us all. As Christians, how do we get in the fight? How do we get in the game? We're prayer warriors. Obviously, we're peaceful people. We're people of peace. So how do we get in the game? How do we get in the fight? How do we get involved in actual solutions? I got some things I'm going to put out on social media a little bit later. I got some friends. I got some brothers in ministry who are actually being a part of the solution. They're being a part of the change. They're being a part of the city. But I want to also let you guys know you can pray for me today because I'm going to be out in the streets and I'm going to be doing some evangelism today, handing out some gospel tracts and playing my guitar. Let me give you guys a couple of my comments here. I've done a lot of my own commentary, but here's what I wanted to say about the jokes. That should have been up a little bit earlier, but I'll summarize it by saying this. Learn to laugh more. Learn to laugh more. We're going to be doing a lot of crying because this is not going away anytime soon. This is not something that can be swept under the rug. In fact, the worst thing that could happen is for this situation sparked by the death of George Floyd to get swept under the rug, swept under the carpet, and not dealt with. Because what is going to come back on the residual side of that, the tsunami that you're going to create, the massive wave of destruction that you're going to create, I'm not sure that our country can tolerate what might happen on the backside of this if we don't deal with it now, if we don't let some steam out now, if we don't actually get some peacemakers who are in the midst of the conversation. And I'm going to try to post some things on social media a little bit later about some pastors locally who are doing some things that I really appreciate. I've been talking to them, and there are some who are hiding. There are some who are scared. There are some who want this to go away. There are some who feel ill-equipped, to deal with what's going on there. And what I've told a lot of people is, you signed up in Christian ministry for leadership. And I didn't get the right when there was a funeral or something that needed to be done by a minister to sit back and say, you know what, I don't know how to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. No, when you're called upon to action, you need to respond. And America is calling our pastors, we're calling our Christian leaders, we're calling those who are peacemakers to action. If you're just sitting back and not doing anything and not being a part of the solution, it's amazing how we can be so much on social media. But then when it comes to a situation like this, we got nothing that we can do on social media to respond to what's going on there. People take note of that. People recognize where leadership is coming from, and people certainly recognize in a time like this where there's a leadership void. So that's what I wanted to say. We need to laugh more. We need to enjoy one another much more. And I will give you some things a little bit later that speak to what I believe is doing some pastors who are doing some great things. All right. Here's what we got. America, breathe. It's a long way still. We still have a long way to go. So let's breathe, and then let's get ourselves back in the work. It's almost like we're swimming. You gotta come up for air, and then let's keep going. Okay, and so for white evangelicals, finally starting to respond. And for those of you who know me, you know that I have more things of a challenging nature to say to the black church, because I can say some things in the black church way that they're not going to get offended by. And so if you think that in any way, shape, form, or fashion I'm coming out hard against the white evangelical church, the fact that I can talk to a segment of the population and call them white evangelicals, and that totally makes sense to you, shows you where we're at as a country, shows you where our history has been as a country, shows you why I believe that America has perpetuated one of the most racist institutions in the institutional church. The reason why black segment and a white segment. The reason why we did that is because we wanted to be separate from one another. The reason why we did that is because black people were not thought to be equal to white people. Black people oftentimes were often relegated to second class, to lower class, by arguments that people would use from the Bible. And so we've never really dealt with that issue. And so I can still say to the segment of white American evangelicals, you're finally starting to respond, and that's encouraging. We need to stop posturing ourselves in a position where we just want to get past this issue, but that we actually want to learn, that we want to grow, that we want to understand one another. And so, white evangelicals, if you think I'm a little bit hard on you, then you might be a little bit too sensitive. I love white people. I love my white evangelical brothers. In fact, the guys who I grew up with, who came through student ministry with me, who are now the pastors of churches, if America continues much longer, I see a great optimistic shift that's taking place. Some of the older leadership that just kicked the can down the road and didn't deal with this is starting to go off the scene. We do honor and recognize people, and like the death of someone like an R.C. Sproul, who was in many ways, he didn't know this, but I've been to some of his conferences and imbibed much of his material. He was a mentor to me. Ravi Zacharias, who was also in many ways a mentor to me. I honor their legacy, honor them as men and what they did for the kingdom of God. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of those guys who were stalwarts, they're passing away now. They're dying away, and the mantle of leadership is being passed to what I believe are good brothers and sisters who are not willing to just kick the can down the road anymore, but they're actually going to sit down and have a conversation about these things. And so white evangelicals are finally starting to respond. I haven't been throwing a lot of comments up there today, but we can get this one. If you can't say amen, you got to say ouch. All right, I'm going to play my guitar. Yeehaw! But a lot of you guys have been posting this song up. Thank you so much. A lot of you guys have been asking me about my presence online, at least where music can be streamed or sold. And we took down everything because we had a little issue with the way that certain things were being recorded. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, TuneCore. I'm not going to talk about I shouldn't talk about how much slackers TuneCore is, but we're shifting over to DistroKid, and we're going to get everything back up through that platform. And so sorry if there's been any delays or people who are looking for songs. We'll get those back up there very soon. But for your special advancement during this broadcast, I wanted to play the song Black and White. Many of you guys have posted that and reposted that. Thank you for that. I'm going to do a live rendition of Black and White. And so like the hit and go. Tune your guitar so that people don't get mad at you. This is the tuning song. You people gonna be mad if I play that A so flat. Yes, you tune your guitar before the show actually starts, so you're not sitting here doing the tuning song. I know you're smart mouths out there. You be making all sorts of comments about, man, don't you know how to tune that guitar? It has a tuner on it. In your face, people. Still out of tune. The most segregated time in our country. Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Black churches, white churches right next door. They're on the same block. Both with hands raised high to Jesus. Still a million miles between us. Black people, white people, remember the God, you and me equal, and not some people. All people remember the God who made you and me equal. We all want to walk with Jesus. We all want to be about His will. How do we break down the unseen walls? Bridges need to be built. It's only like change your mind. But Jesus won't let me keep it inside. Black people, white people, remember the God who made you and me equal. Not some people, all people remember the God who made you and me equal. Maybe it all began by not focusing on ourselves, fixing our eyes on Him, living our lives as friends. Ooh, black people, white people, remember the God who made you and me equal, and not some people. All people remember the God. Remember the God who made you and me equal. You and me are equal. You and me are equal. That was the song Black and White. It has been a fun edition of the Erskin Music Show. Send your hate mail to e4jesus@yahoo.com.